Greetings and welcome to the Weekday Refill. This is the Friday installment, and man, TGIF, thank God it's Friday. I am so happy that it is the end of the week. I bet you are excited that it's the end of the week, and with the weekend comes rest, right? It comes unwinding, it comes with putting aside work, and for many of us, taking on family and spending time with our family. And because it's the weekend, because I am presenting in about an hour or so to the NKBA's student symposium on rest and on underrated rest, right? Because I think that rest gives a bad name, and there's a plane flying past, so if you hear that, great, and if not, great. But I'm gonna let it continue to go past, and I think it's gone. All right, so but anyways, so I just wanted to talk a little bit more about why I think and why I say rest is a strategy. But I want to use one of the metaphors that I'm going to be speaking about in today's presentation. And that metaphor is rest in music, right? As a creative, I absolutely love and adore music. When I was young and in high school, and even I took some courses in college, I was on the dance team. I loved to dance. I loved to twirl around. I loved to feel the music. It was so exciting. And let me tell you, some of the toughest choreography and dancing ever came when the song had no beats of rest, no moments of pause, where it was just like and you are like going around, and I'm picturing in my head that episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, when Aunt Viv was dancing and the choreographer was like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and done. Whew, I'm tired. It just mimicking that, right? And mimicking that music. In fact, I just need to step aside and get me a little bit of water and a breather, right? But can you imagine working like that? Some of us do that, right? Some of us literally live our lives like that, and we have this mentality that we've got to hustle, and that is what it takes in order for us to be able to get through and make it to where God has called us to be. But let me tell you something, that is not grace. That all the time is not grace. Eventually, even those quick, fast-paced songs end, or they have a moment or a bridge or a place of pause. Because honestly, you gotta breathe. You have to rest. God designed you to rest, and thus you should rest. And it's very interesting when we're listening to music and we hear in the music that there's no pause. We feel and we know that, man, this is a really great song, but I couldn't go on like this forever, or I couldn't dance like this for 10 minutes, right? Or I couldn't, like, this could not last forever. But somehow we have this expectation that our body is supposed to be able to do these things forever, to just keep going forever with no stop, no reprieve, no break. And let me tell you something, that is unbiblical, and it is not kingdom. I'm gonna say it one more time. That is unbiblical, and that is not kingdom. God designed for us to rest, and he modeled that In Genesis, in the very first chapter of the Bible, he went through, he created the world, and then he rested. And then he went back, and when he gave out the Levitical laws, and he came forward and gave out to Moses what his expectations were for his people, and we are his people. He talked about the Sabbath, and he talked about how important it was for us to keep it holy. And he talked about how we needed to be able to rest and pause and not work. And somehow we have got caught up in the culture, and we think that we have the capacity to live past that and live outside of how we were designed. We were designed to be able to rest. And let me tell you some things that rest does for you, for your system, for your work, for your life, for your family, for all of that, for the people that you serve, right? Rest restores you. It restores your body. It restores your mind. It restores your heart. It literally powers you back up. It literally gives you the energy to go forward. And no, rest is not just sleep. It certainly is a facet of rest. But just like a diamond that has many facets, rest also has many facets. There's forms of rest where you can just pause. You could read a good book, or one of many. I need to organize my bookshelf because I have several, and it's a really great way to relax. You can go and you can cook up a good meal. You can have a good cup of coffee. You can go and take a walk in the park. You can take a long hot shower, take a long soak, go to the gym, go to the spa, go to the pool. You can hang out with friends. You can go on vacation, and I can go on and on and on and on and on. As I said, rest is multifaceted, just like a diamond. And just like a diamond has value and is considered to be precious, rest has value and is precious because it is what God created for you. To be able to allow for you to do the things that He has created you to do. We can't do anything out of our own might. No matter how much we desire to do it, we can't do it out of our own might. We can't do anything. We can't even think clearly if we haven't rested. And sometimes, especially, as designers, when we are here and we're bustling and we're talking to clients, and then we're doing CAD work, or we're drafting if you're analog, or we are making selections, or we're talking to contractors, and we're just doing all of these things. When it comes time for us to be able to sit and say, okay, now I'm going to have this creative time and this creative moment to be able to think about how I'm going to creatively come up with a solution to transform my client space. If the earlier part of my day has been filled with all of that crazy that I just told you about, unless I take a moment to pause and to regroup in my day, my brain is still going to be firing on a different platform and on a different cylinder, right, than on where it should be firing concerning this creativity that I'm trying to do. Which is why rest, even in the midst of your day, is important. Rest at the end of the week is important to just wind down from all of everything. But rest in the day is important to wind down from the previous task or the previous thing that you were working on. Because it's so very important to give yourself that moment of reprieve so that you can think clearly. When you get wound up, you're still thinking about the last thing. You're not free to be able to think about the next thing. And then if you are still thinking that you've got to live this hustle culture and not the kingdom culture, but the hustle culture, and then you're telling yourself that you don't even deserve to pause and to take a moment. But let me tell you something. God created you to take the moment, so take the moment. 5 minutes for you to go and look out a window. Well, the window's over here. Look out the window and gaze across the terrain and see the beauty of what God has created and the space that you have to enjoy. That breather, as I said, is a recalibration that allows for you to be able to reflect and to move forward. And so as you go into the weekend and you think about what it is that you are going to do and how you're going to rest, not just over the weekend, but also how you are going to incorporate rest within your day and your daily routines. I want you to write down some things that you're going to do. Will you get up and take a walk after you finish drafting for the last hour and a half? Will you go and pop on a little music and do a little jig? Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I just like to put on a little music and just so I can recenter myself. So I can even relax my body and shake off the stress of a thing. Or, what are you gonna do that's gonna make your day all the easier so that you can recenter and you can continue with what it is that you're doing in your workday. God has called us to be designers. He has called us to be productive. He has called us to be abundant. He has called us to advance His kingdom. And He has called us to do a multitude of things. But He has called us to do none of those things in our own might and without rest. He's called us to do those things with Him so that we can do the things that He desires. And in order for us to do that, we must be able to do what He requires of us. And that is to rest, to pause, to recenter, and remind ourselves that He is in control. He's managing all of this. He will get done what He has set forth to get done. And all I have to do is show up rested and ready. That's the weekday refill. I pray that it blessed you. If it did, I would love if you would give me a like, if you would subscribe, and you would come back and follow for more. Next week we'll be here. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about next week. That's up to the Lord. But I know that I will be here next week to pour out what He has poured into me. These weekday refills are a moment for us to be able to pause, to center on God, and to refill so that we can pour from our overflow. Because interior design is ministry. And you, my friend, abundant interior designer, you are called to serve. So design, serve, and thrive. And I will see you